Hello and welcome. This is your Saturday News. I'm your host, Keith Lander, coming to you out of the Tabernacle Baptist Church studios right here in Dayton, Ohio. Well, it's a new year, and it's a new year for the show. Happy New Year to you. Hope you have a blessed New Year. And as I used to hear one of Pastor Reverend Shine always used to say, in order to have a really good New Year, you know what you need to do? And we would all say, yeah, what? And he would say, make 6 months, take that time to tend to your business, and take the other 6 months and stay out of other folks' business, and you'll have a good year. So Pastor Shine has passed on, so I just want to do that in his memory. Here today, we are also going to talk about the COVID-19 vaccine. We're going to dispel, hopefully, some myths and some misinformation on this vaccine. We want you to be safe. We also want to throw in a disclaimer, do not do anything to your health before you consult a physician, a professional physician. And I do have a person here to help answer some of these questions, Marquetta Colbert from Colbert Family Health and Wellness. Thank you, Marquetta.
Good evening. Thank you, Keith, for having me here today.
Thank you. And if you want more information on Colbert Family Health and Wellness, their office is located at 250 Shiloh Springs, Dayton, Ohio. The phone number is 937-529-4376. And we'll pop that up on the screen so you can see the number and the location. And they do have a second location, which is not open yet. And Marquetta, if you want to tell them where the second location is when that's going to be open?
Sure. The second location is 111 Turner Road in Harrison Township, and it will open this coming Monday. So January, today's the 6th, I believe that's the 11th, January the 11th. It's also called Colbert Family Health and Wellness, 111 Turner Road in Dayton or Harrison Township.
Now, before we get into the vaccine facts and questions and answers, what kind of services can people expect to find at your Health and Wellness Center?
So I'm a primary care provider. I provide all of the service just as if you were going to your medical doctor. That includes annual physicals. It includes management of chronic illnesses such as diabetes, hypertension, COPD, asthma. I am a family provider, so I see the whole family. I see children, adolescents, middle age, and older adults as well. Annual physicals, medical management. We have a on-site lab, and we refer to any of the specialists and can order any tests here in Montgomery County or beyond.
There you go. So make sure if you want to contact her, the phone number will be on the screen again. The address will be on the screen again also. So you can contact Marquetta at her office and make an appointment. You accepting new patients?
Yes, definitely accepting new patients. We take all insurances, and we even have a walk-in policy. So my patients know that they're able to walk in the mornings and be treated. Both office in Trotwood and Harrison Township will be taking new patients.
Okay, there you go. Now, let's get into this vaccine, especially the COVID vaccine. There's 2 vaccines out there. It's being administered now. It's injected in people's arms. It's the one from Pfizer and the one from Moderna. But before we get there, why are some people, especially African Americans, are skeptical of vaccines?
Well, we have a long history. African Americans have a long history of being having in the past of being experimented. So we have many examples in history where we were experimented for different types of vaccines, and we were usually not on the good end of it. So experiments, clinical trials, things of that nature occurred in our community, and sometimes we were misinformed on what to expect. We didn't receive the proper treatment afterwards, and because of some of those previous things that have occurred in history, we're more apprehensive about receiving vaccines, especially when we're not informed.
What the United States government did was shameful, and I am sorry.
Yeah. Well, you know, and some would say that the COVID-19 vaccine was created so rapidly that the vaccine must be flawed some kind of way. What would you tell people about how this test was comprised and how fast it was and how the clinical trials happened and the money was poured into it, and so they got a little faster in getting this thing developed? What would you say to those people who hesitant about how fast this thing was made?
So one of the things that I will tell you, although there were some steps that were faster, meaning in developing a vaccine, medication, there are several steps that have to go through research-wise through the FDA. So the FDA did speed up the process in getting it to where it was available. But I will also tell you that one of the companies, the company that actually made Moderna, had started making that vaccine before COVID actually was known to be in our country. So they had started working on a vaccine, and the vaccine that they were making was for a viral condition. And so, flu vaccine is also a viral condition. So they actually had started making that vaccine the year before we even knew COVID was here. So what I would tell people is, although it seems like it was rushed, it wasn't. The main steps of developing the vaccine was not rushed, and specifically with that one, they had started that process before the actual COVID-19 was identified in our country.
Oh, that's good to hear. Now, people always say, well, what about the side effects? What kind of side effects are attached to these two vaccines, if there is any?
So both Pfizer and Moderna were made the same way. They very similar in that they used RNA to make it, which is different than the flu vaccine. And so side effects are pretty common with both of them. And most people who get the vaccine will report soreness in their arm, that it may be sore, may feel warm to the touch. That's more of a local reaction that you get. It will go away. You can put ice, take ibuprofen, or just an NSAID, and it will go away. It's pretty common, but it's not one that's deadly. There have been some reactions. That's the common one. There are a couple uncommon that would be serious, and that's called an anaphylactic reaction. People who have reported that, and again, that's been not a lot of them across the country. I've looked at reports from each state, but that's more of a more serious one where there was swelling of the throat, soreness of the throat, itching, and they went to the hospital. They received an antihistamine, and it went away. That would be more of a serious reaction, and to be honest, there's have not been a lot of them.
No.
So.
Okay, that's good. Now, what about when people receive the vaccine? There's two doses of the vaccine on both of them, Moderna and Pfizer. Now, I want to caution people, I don't think you can mix these vaccines, because you can't get a shot from Pfizer and then get a second shot from Moderna, can you?
No, you can't. Pfizer has their two, and Moderna has their two. And although I said the process for the two of them was similar in making it, they cannot be mixed. Okay. They're actually stored differently and everything, so they definitely cannot be mixed.
Okay. After somebody receives the vaccine, do they still need to practice the social distancing, the hand washing, and the wearing a mask?
Yes. And the reason is because you get the first vaccine and you do not have the full antibodies or the full protection to protect yourself from the virus. So I know it was in the news that someone had received the vaccine and they still got COVID-19, and people were using it as a reason to not get it, but that person had only received their first vaccine. So it takes the second dose before you can really have the full benefit of the antibodies built up to protect yourself. So you get the vaccine, and you do still need to social distance and wear the mask as well.
Oh, that's good. And hopefully people, you're out there, you wear your mask, you social distance, and you continue to hand washing, continue to do that until the experts tell you not to do it. So be on that. Some folks say, there's conspiracy theories out there that says, well, the vaccine is population control and there's a microchip in there and they'll follow you around and all this kind of stuff. So can you dispel that myth? If there's no microchip in either one of these vaccines, is that right?
That's correct. I've read not only from the experts, I've looked at the guidelines and looked specifically at how they've made it. There is definitely no microchip in it. There's no way where the government can track you. If you get the vaccine, you're not going to light up or glow in the dark or anything of that nature to where the government can track you.
That's good. Now, what about people say, well, it's going to alter my DNA? Would it alter people's DNA like some people was relating to?
Yeah, that's actually a good question, Keith, and I'll tell you why that's a good question. Because this particular vaccine, COVID vaccine is the first to ever, it's not like any other vaccines. Where you get the flu shot, when people get the flu vaccine, they're actually putting some of the flu virus in your system. They do not do that with COVID-19. So it does not enter your DNA. It is not going to alter your DNA, which should make people feel more comfortable because it does not enter your DNA and does not alter your DNA. This is a complete different vaccine where they utilize the RNA. And again, it is not going into your main cell.
That's good to hear because people need to understand that because they're comparing this thing to the flu vaccine, and the flu vaccine is different than the COVID-19 vaccine. I'm glad you clarified that. Now, what about can I get the flu vaccine and also the COVID-19 vaccine?
Yes.
So yes. I can take both of them with no problem at all?
No problem at all.
That's good. Now, what about the young people? I'm talking about the kids, 10, 11, whichever on down. What age group would you suggest people receive this vaccine?
So right now there are ongoing studies, but Pfizer is recommended age 16 and above, and Moderna is recommended age 18 and above. There is a third vaccine that will be coming out, but specifically the one that we've had here in Montgomery County is the main two that I'm discussing. So Pfizer and Moderna, age 16 and 18 and above. It cannot be given younger at this time. Studies are ongoing.
Now, what about the pay? Will I have to pay for these vaccines, or is it free?
It's free.
Okay, so that's free. You can't beat free. You can't get something in you for free and that'll help you out. Most stuff is free. It's not worth anything.
That's
but
right.
This is worth something.
That's right.
If your life is worth your life. So I suggest people, do your research and consult your physician, and I suggest you take the vaccine. What about people with allergies? Because people post stuff up online where they had an allergic reaction to the vaccine. What would you say to those people?
So another good question, and I will tell you, if you are someone that has severe allergies, or you've had allergic reactions to things in the past, you've had anaphylactic reaction, make sure you consult your healthcare provider prior to taking this vaccine. Some of the reports of people that have had the anaphylactic reactions, there was one particular physician who got the vaccine. He had a history of allergies. So because he was a physician, he had an epinephrine pen, which is an EpiPen, and he took his vaccine and he gave himself his EpiPen and he did fine. He just kind of knew that this vaccine can stimulate the immune system. And he knew that basically what it does is it can cause inflammation. And so when people have allergies, they already have an inflammatory process. And so there may be some special precautions for those people. So again, that is not the common. But if you're someone that has allergies, you've had severe reactions in the past, please consult a healthcare provider prior to having it done.
Now, some of those people who are anti-mask people, they say the reason why they don't want to wear a mask is because the mask will increase the carbon dioxide that they breathe, and that will make them sick. Can you dispel that myth, please?
Yeah, so the typical mask that we're using is even a surgical mask. They're not even affecting carbon dioxide or oxygen. All of that is able to pass through the mask with no problem. That's completely a myth, and it's usually just one excuse of why a person wouldn't wear a mask.
Yeah.
It doesn't even hamper a person's breathing. When people say that they have problems breathing with the mask on, it's more of just adjusting and getting used to it. But it's not altering your gas exchanges at all.
Yeah, you're right. And I got a mask I run in, and I'm running. I know I'm trying to get as much air as I can, and I can run in that mask, so it don't prevent you from get any oxygen. You get all you need. What about people? What this notion that the COVID-19 is overblown, the numbers are skewed, and for whatever reason, these people who come up with these conspiracy theories can never give me a reason why that they would hype the numbers up. So just to dispel the myth, the numbers are what they are from the CDC. That's what they are, right? There's no inflation of the numbers.
No, there's no inflation of the numbers at all. And the reason of tracking really was so that states could and counties could be able to mobilize staff, personnel, equipment when they needed it. In order to be able to get more assistance from the federal government, they had to be able to know where the hot spots were and where the problems are. That was the whole reasoning of, tracking how many deaths and how many people are hospitalized, and you'll still see that done. But there's, that was the only intention. The numbers that you see are real. The numbers in other countries are real. And we know that we have several mutant strains right now. There's not just one COVID-19. There are several out there, and there's some specific. South Africa has one. Europe, UK has one that is specific, that just kind of started. So.
Now you also do a show on WDAO radio, which is 1210 AM, WDAO. And for people who want a longer, in-depth conversation, tell people how they can tune in to your show and also get their questions asked, because I may have missed something that somebody wanted to ask, but they can ask your show. When's your show on WDAO, 1210 AM?
Yes, so I have a show every third Saturday of every month. For the month of January, it's coming up the third Saturday of this month. Not this coming Saturday, but the following Saturday. It is from 11 to 12. It's called Healthy Living. It is a call-in show, so anyone can call WDAO and ask questions or give comments. I also am usually at that time, I'm on Facebook Live, where people can just type in on Facebook any questions or comments. This month, I will be talking about the vaccines as well. It's an hour program, so I will be real detailed talking about the vaccines, talking about special conditions, and kind of talking about, here in Montgomery County, how we're kind of getting the vaccines out to people who want them. I will also have someone from Public Health on there, either the first half hour or the second half hour of the program. I'll have one of the officials from Public Health, because they're right now here in Montgomery County. They're the ones that are giving the vaccines down at the convention center. So I'll have someone on there who can kind of talk about the schedule of when they're giving them, who's going to be the next group to get the vaccines and all of that. So it will be a good, informative program to tune in on the third Saturday of this month in January in WDAO.
Now, what time did the show?
11 to 12.
11 to 12, WDAO 1210. That's been in our community for a long time.
Long time.
Probably longer than I've been alive.
Yes.
And we appreciate, Mr. Jim Johnson for keeping that radio station here locally, and also providing good information that the community can use, like your show, Marquetta. And we appreciate you doing your show, and we appreciate Mr. Johnson for WDAO. So I think we covered a lot. I know it was fast and some question and answer, but like I say, if you want to get it more in depth, I suggest you tune in to Marquetta's show on WDAO 1210 AM dial on Saturdays on the third Saturday.
Third Saturday.
At 11 o'clock?
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Be there. Any closing remarks, Marquetta?
I just want to thank you, Keith, for having me on this evening, and thank you for your program and your show and what you're doing for the community, because you're giving information that the community needs. And so I appreciate you calling me and asking me. And I just want to tell everyone who listens to the program that we have to be informed. We can't be scared. We can't be misinformed and just go by what our neighbor told us or, previous experiences. Inform yourself so that way you can make your own decision on what's going to impact your health. And thank you again.
Okay, we thank you, and I'll be listening to WDAO, and if I got any more questions, I'll be even call in to WDAO and get my questions answered too. So hopefully people pass this information along. all information that you can get, accurate information. I suggest you look at it, research it, understand it, and go to your physician and ask them some questions also. So with that in mind, thank you, Marquetta, for coming on to the show and answering all the questions. I appreciate you, and we appreciate you, and we're going to go to the second part of the show.
Thank you.
Well, we all know what time it is now. It's scam alert. Scam alert. And on this scam alert, just take a look at this footage, and I'll be back on the other side.
So I think we're all very excited about the potential vaccination and treatments that are being approved by the FDA. But I also caution against these criminal organizations and individuals that will exploit the American public. We need to be cautious of illicit websites. HSI has analyzed over 60,000 websites that were suspected to be involved in some sort of COVID-19 related fraud. Homeland Security Investigations launched Operation Stolen Promise in April of this year to combat the threats and fraud relating to the COVID-19 pandemic. Essentially, looking at all the illicit products coming into the United States that were either counterfeit, fraudulent, substandard, that related to personal protective equipment, medical gowns, antiviral products, counterfeit and hazardous pharmaceuticals that were entering the U.S. supply chain.
What we can say is that
we have not seen any incidents of any vaccination fraud or treatment fraud. However, we want to make sure that we're working very closely with the pharmaceutical companies to ensure and protect that supply chain and to ensure the American public are safe. The best advice I have is to consult with your medical professional prior to taking any treatments or vaccinations. And if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
All right, so that was the scam alert. Hopefully you pass that on to your friends. Now we get into some other news, especially local news. And you know I always like the library. I love the library. I go to the library a lot, especially the one on Philadelphia. I love that library. You know, I've been going there since they built the building. And I also plan to go to the one on West Dayton when they get that one built. I see they're doing the construction, and hopefully I'll take part in that one also. I just love the library. And here's a program which I think a lot of people can benefit from, what the library is involved in. Now, the Dayton-Montgomery Library program is to bring free internet to households. Yeah, I did say free. Yes, free. Now, the new Dayton Metro Library program will provide hundreds of households with free internet to up to 4 months. Now, what it says is, the Get Connected initiative will give 800 households in need free internet access. The program launches on January the 5th and will accept applications through February the 27th, or until 800 households limit is reached. The statement given to the Dayton Daily News, which is where the article come by, statement by Megan Cooper, Dayton Metro Library Development Manager. She states, not having internet access is a real disadvantage in today's world. She also says that students are trying to learn remotely, adults are looking for work, and many households are struggling to make ends meet. Now, the way this program works is, the library will serve as the initial account holder and cover the cost of Spectrum broadband services and equipment. Now, after 4 months, participants can transfer the service into their name or return the equipment and let the service end. Now, here's what you have to do. Now, because the Dayton Metro Library is the account holder, right, the program can benefit someone who has been locked out of internet services due to bad credit or past due bills. That's what Ms. Cooper says. Now, those who decide to transfer services are able to get a reduced rates through Spectrum Internet Assist program. Now, to apply, participants must be Dayton Metro Library card holders and be at least 18 years old. Now, households are required to be in the library and Spectrum service areas and cannot be current Spectrum customers. So if you want to know any more about that, there is a website. You can go to the Dayton DaytonLibrary.org/getconnected. And I'm pretty sure we'll put that on the screen. It's www.daytonmetrolibrary.org/getconnected. And there also is a phone number which you can call if you have any questions. It's 937-463-2665. The number again is 937-463-2665. So if you want any more information about that program of the free internet for 4 months from Dayton Metro Library, I suggest you get on the website and call that number. That's a benefit to the community. Here's something I don't think a lot of people know, is that the Ohio Players, we all know the Ohio Players, right? We all heard the Ohio Players back in the 70s, and they was doing their thing, funk music. Man, they did their thing with funk music, I tell you that. Well, let me ask you this. Show of hands, just raise your hand. Who all knew that the Ohio Players are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? That's true. They're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, they should be, but they're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And individual named Keith Jenkins, who has a petition to try to get the Ohio Players inducted into the Hall of Fame. Keith Jenkins has this petition on the site change.org. You can go to that site and you can sign a petition to try to get the Ohio Players in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because it makes no sense that a legendary band like the Ohio Players, who had top 10 hits, who was on the Billboard 200 chart for almost 14 studio albums, who also, people had sampled their music, and the music still sounds good to this day when you play it. And also, I tell you what, some of the groups in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I'm not putting these groups down, but you got people like the Beastie Boys and Depeche Mode. They'll be introduction into the Hall of Fame. I mean, I ain't putting these groups down, but when you mention Ohio Players, man, that's world renowned. Nobody sounded like Ohio Players, and then people started to copy that funk sound. You had George Clinton; they came out with it. You had Parliament. You had some local group, Slave. They came from there. So we're gonna try to get the Ohio Players in the Hall of Fame. And hey, kudos to Keith Jenkins for coming up with this petition to try to get the Ohio Players in the Hall of Fame. And I tell you what I like most about the Ohio Players is not only the music, but man, those album covers were something else. And so I don't even know if we can show those album covers. I guess we can, but those album covers was out of sight, and that music still sounds good today. So Ohio Players, you're going to get in the Hall of Fame. We're going to make sure we get there, and we're going to make sure people go to change.org and sign that petition. Come on, y'all. Put the Ohio Players in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is in Cleveland, Ohio. We're here in Dayton, Ohio. These guys started in a garage, and look what they did. World renowned. Went all over the world playing that funk music. Man, so that's the Ohio Players. Come on, help out. Come on, Dayton. The other issue in the news is this. Mike DeWine. Mike DeWine signed the Stand Your Ground bill into law a few days ago. And, it was surprising because when we had the tragedy of the shooting in the Oregon district, and they had the visual, and it was a big visual, and you had the mayor, Nan Whaley, Dayton City Mayor Nan Whaley was there. We had the commissioners. We had a whole bunch of folks up there. John Husted was standing on the stage, and Mike DeWine made a promise. He said he's going to do all he can to protect Ohioans from useless gun violence, and yet he signed this addition to the Stand Your Ground bill, which basically removes the duty to retreat. And also it says now that, from the castle doctrine, you can just about shoot anybody and use, any kind of force you want to if folks on your property. Now, if this law would have been in effect at the time when that man shot those young boys in that garage, he would have got off. That's the impact of this piece of legislation that Mike DeWine just signed. That's how dangerous this stuff is. And Mike DeWine, people say, well, why did he sign it when he said he wasn't going to sign it? Well, he signed it because the NRA, National Rifle Association, they endorsed him. And when the National Rifle Association endorses you, big money comes with that. I'm just saying. I'm not saying he signed it because he got money from the NRA. I'm just saying the NRA endorsed him, and when NRA endorses you, their money comes with that endorsement, and so you can put the rest together. I will read a statement from Mayor Nan Whaley, and she said this to the Dayton Daily News. She says, Governor DeWine came to our city, stood on stage for a visual of our murdered friends and neighbors, and then he stood with our community in a fight against gun violence. Now it seems he does not, Whaley says. On Monday, Governor DeWine has made clear he opposes this dangerous policy, but once again, he folded to the extreme elements of his own party. Stand your ground will make Ohio less safe, full stop. That's a statement by Dayton City Mayor Nan Whaley. And also, I would also like to say that Dayton City Police Chief Richard Beal also made a comment to the Dayton Daily News about the signing of this bill. Chief Richard Beal stated, he said it would make communities less safe and encourage armed vigilantism. So, that's from the police chief. He knows a thing or two about crime and gun use. And Governor DeWine didn't want to listen to him either. The other piece of, in this piece of legislation, now a lot of people don't know, and I don't understand why, is it gives immunity to non-profit organizations for loss of property, loss of alleged cause of death, that someone brings a handgun onto their premises. I couldn't understand why they would exempt non-profit businesses if someone comes on their property and starts shooting and kill up a whole bunch of people and that kind of thing. I'm not sure why that's in there. That's on page 5, by the way, of the bill, because I got the bill. I read the bill. It's on page 5, section 2D, if you want to look that up. And you don't have to read the entire bill. I don't understand why they did that, but, you know, they did it. The other thing I would like to say is I got word today that Nan Whaley, who is the Dayton City Mayor, will not be running for re-election. And I would like to say a public thank you to Mayor Whaley for all her efforts in bringing this city through tornadoes, bringing this city through the tragic gun shooting in Oregon District, bringing this city through some hard times. And she did it. And her staff and the people at City Hall, including the commissioners, they helped out this city a whole lot. And Mayor Whaley, you will be missed, and I thank you for your services. And whatever your endeavors in the future are, you can always, I will support that. You know what I mean? And we've disagreed on a few issues. I used to go down to City Hall quite a bit, but since the virus and the pandemic came in, can't make it down there. So hopefully I can make it back down to City Hall when this pandemic is lifted and stand there on the podium and give you another heartfelt thank you to Dayton City Mayor Nan Whaley. She's not running for re-election again, and so I just wanted to point that out. If you hadn't seen the news in Washington, the certification of the votes for President-elect Joe Biden was taking place. In the same token, President Donald Trump held a rally to what he claims stop some kind of steal that he believes happened with the election. Let me say this, and this is a commentary. The election wasn't stolen. The election was about the people. The people spoke. Donald Trump lost the election by 7 million votes. That's the popular vote. And he also lost the electoral college vote. There's Republicans in these states that are also had counted, recounted, and recounted votes. His own election security person, who resigned, stated that this was the safest election on record. So all those people who went to Washington on a lie, went to Washington on a misconception that somehow Donald Trump won this election. Let me be clear, as clear as I can, Donald Trump did not win this election. The election was not stolen. Donald Trump and his team of lawyers filed 61 lawsuits, lost 60 lawsuits. They won one on a technicality about some procedure. That's the only one they won. There was not enough irregularities in this election to overturn the vote. Stopgap. The bottom line. There are irregularities in every election. This is not the first time irregularities popped up. They're in every election, if you paid attention to any election, especially a big election, a presidential election. That's the norm. So, what we've seen in that rally in Washington is we've seen people go storm the Capitol, bash in windows, gain access to the Capitol to the point where the Congress people had to run for cover. These people went from they were peaceful protesting at one time, but then it turned violent. And when the violence happened, you had a riot. And the police in Washington, D.C. did an absolutely terrible job in trying to contain these people. I remember when Black Lives Matter had a protest in Washington, D.C., the same place. The police, the National Guard, the state troopers, the Keystone cops, whoever it was in law enforcement, all of them was there. They must have had thousands of people at that, police officers at that Black Lives Matter rally. But this rally, the police were slow to come. I understand a lady got shot. People were attacking the police. These are Trump people attacking the police, and he claimed to be law and order. The proceeding that we've seen in Congress today is written in the Constitution. It's a constitutional duty for Congress to certify the election. Those people, that mob, that riot, those violent folks out there knocking in windows, gaining access to Congress people's offices, gaining access to the floor, going through people's papers that were left because they had to run for cover from this mob. That was the most un-American thing I've ever witnessed in my life. And I guarantee you this, had that been thousands and thousands of people of color, I guarantee you they would have been tear gas and rubber bullets coming so fast. But what we've seen in Washington from those protesters, Trump, mob of protesters, because that's what it was. And let me ask you this, all those people who went there and tried to gain access to the Capitol while bashing in the windows and breaking in and looting and all that kind of nonsense, what did you accomplish? Joe Biden still going to be the president. You can watch his swearing in ceremonies on January the 20th. Donald Trump still lost. He'll be packing up, moving on. So what did you accomplish? Answer that question. All that chaos, what did you accomplish? Donald Trump, what did you accomplish when you instigated these people to go and act violent? What did you accomplish? You're not going to overthrow anything. A lot of these people going to jail. Call Donald Trump when you're in jail and get your bail. I just had to bring that up because that bothers me. I love this country just as much as anybody else loves this country. But we done lost elections. I done lost elections. We done lost people who I voted for didn't win. I didn't go storm City Hall. No, that's useless. Let me give you one more example. When black folks were refused service, and we had sit-ins at the lunch counters, and we've seen those people, white folk come, and they bust them upside the head and all that stuff and drag them out. Black folks didn't go burn down the restaurant, did they? They didn't go burn down a hotel when they couldn't get service, did they? So why are you white folks acting a fool? Because that's just what it is. That's the end of my commentary. I don't want to go no further. So, well, like I always say, there's never ending. There's always a continuation. Until next time, may God bless you and your family.